And I know I'm stuck. It's facing time. There is an era where the war is over. And when one thing wanted to turn around. Here and now, would I fight with a body? Would I fight to the we just can't go back to when we want to. We need to, we want to, we belong. You just can't go back. You're California. It's peace to exist. Time and time again. Just might end up in California. Free from the one you left behind. You know, what I find with our bodies. What I find is beauty of hands. We just can't go back to where we want to. We need you. You know, what I find is with our bodies. What I find is beauty of hands. We just can't go back to where we want to. We need to. We want to. Where we belong. Where we belong.
Good afternoon, everybody. How are you? It is a privilege to be here with you today. If you could, just let me know that you can hear my voice and see my screens and all that fun stuff, and then we'll get started. Five by five. I'll take it. John, no relation to Angelica Houston. It's good to see you here today. Quick shout out to some people I recognize. Takahiro, good to see you. Thomas, Jim, Graham, Mr. Batman. Go ahead and move you on over to organizer. Dave's here as well. And I'm super stoked to be here with you today. We're going to go over some cool stuff this afternoon, I think. We'll mix it up a little bit. But the premise of who we are, if you're just joining us or watching and learning about us for the first time, is the idea of predictability. And it's this concept that most people, when they're approaching markets, they're approaching it with a bag of tools that are designed to sort of hack away at what's happening right now or what just happened, right? Those are the tools that people are utilizing. When I grew up, my father was started out as a machinist for Pan Am. How many of you are old enough to remember Pan American Airlines back in the 70s and 80s? Largest airline. Reagan came along, Lockerbie, terrorism, deregulation, Pan Am gone but not forgotten. And he worked in groups with German engineers who literally flew over to New York to JFK, repaired the Boeing engines, the turboprops, the jets, and then would fly back on the weekends to visit with their families. And one thing I'll always remember growing up, before I got my engineering degree, he always used to say, use the right tool for the job. And inevitably, what drove him nuts was when we would use a pair of pliers or an adjustable wrench, a crescent wrench, instead of taking the time to find the right size open-ended wrench. Is it 1/2 inch? Is it 9/16? Is it 10 millimeter? Use the right wrench for the job. Otherwise, you round off the nut, you hit your knuckles. It's just a catastrophe. And so we're sort of coming at markets, this voluminous cacophony of noise and news and gurus, this chaotic maelstrom, and saying, what if it's not chaotic? What if it's not so random? What if there's an order and numbering to all of this? Leroy said, hey, how about Eastern Airlines? Yeah, a lot of stuff happened back in those days. And I'll never forgive Delta for what they told the airline employees. Delta said, we're going to hire everybody. We're going to make sure we pay your pensions, something my father was depending on. And they lied. They lied about all of it with zero legal consequence. They got all of the routes, all of the equipment, changed the name on the plane. And it was a wake-up call for me. I was 17, 18. And it was my first introduction into corporate deception. And we've now seen this rise of the billionaire class where we can fire an entire company or hire crowds of people, or like Tesla did this summer, they had thousands of interns coming from all over the states and the world. They had paid for their apartments and security deposits in advance, only to be told by Tesla when they were arriving, oh, sorry, there are no internships, you'll have to leave. This is the world, and we saw the first parts of that. So the software is looking at this complex data set and saying, well, if we apply the right tool to it, we can understand what the information is telling us. Only in this case, it's looking at thousands of historical bars of data and telling us when these moves are occurring with predictable frequency. And so one of the things we do every week for 15 years, is give out the market movement times in advance, along with a basic trading system people can follow with those times. We let Wednesday and Thursday go by and let you follow along with those times to see if they worked or not. So for example, on Thursday today, we have the NASDAQ 1-minute chart, the E-mini S&P 3 and 5-minute chart, crude and gold, the DAX, euro dollar, pound dollar, Ethereum, oh my. And we can come back and sort of analyze together, you know, what happened at these times. What happened at these times? Let's break down a chart together so you get a feel for what that histogram even means. On any given chart for our software, there are signals in the past and signals in the future, and where we are in time right now. So for example, This dotted white line is telling us where we are in time right now. If this were a karaoke song, Robert, if we were singing karaoke with the program, this is the word, the lyric that we're singing right now. Don't stop believing. Hold on to that feeling. That's what we're singing right now. The dot to the right, the time to the right, is the song lyric we're about to sing. The dots and lines to the left are the lyrics we've sang already. And here's the bananas part. When the program is making these proclamations and it's telling us, hey, watch for a move up at 10 o'clock tonight and then a move down at 3 o'clock tomorrow. It's already made those proclamations here. And so we're continually asking the question, why do we care about a predictive signal sitting over here? And the answer is because the one at 10 o'clock worked, the one at 1 o'clock worked, the one at 1 o'clock worked, the one at 4 o'clock worked, the one at 7 o'clock worked, the one at 9 o'clock worked, midnight last night worked, and 3 o'clock 2 days ago worked before the one at 8 o'clock worked, and then after the close here. There's a preponderance of evidence that these times coming up will have a tendency to do what the times did historically when they were just predictions themselves. And over the last 15 years, we've found about 60 to 70% of the time, the signal that we're waiting for does the thing that we were expecting, which is amazeballs. It's kind of nuts. And so whether we're looking at markets like the E-mini S&P, in this case looking at gold futures, we're seeing a possible future on the right-hand side of the chart. It's telling us a story, in fact. There's a narrative that's occurring on this chart. Let me give you an example of what that narrative is. So in gold futures, here's one way to read one of our predictive charts, and then we'll actually circle back and come and look and see what were the predictions for gold today, and did the market actually follow them. But on the larger time frame, which I know a lot of you guys trade, here's what I want you to see. As we were moving the buy time signals in the direction of the trend, and I'm defining trend with a 120 period moving average. When we get to those buy times, man, it just shoots up like a rocket. And then when we got to the times they were supposed to take profit, there wasn't a lot of down movement. In fact, when we got to the 10 a.m. signal on the 16th, it just blew up right by it. And then finally, the last move up that was tremendous from here to here was a $31 move, almost $32. And when we got up to this price here, 24.88.87, it double topped, and the move down from 10 o'clock was equal $33 to the move up. So Ken, that tells us a lot about institutional intentions at this price right here. Would you agree with that? There's a tremendous amount of supply up here, and when it was time for the banks to sell, they sold enthusiastically. They sold off everything that had happened when it was time for them to buy. Now, the narrative is this. When that next signal was coming, when we were moving up at 1 o'clock, this was the line in the sand. And when we got to the next predictive sell signal, Mary, it hadn't gone very far, had it? Joey, in fact, from the close of the 1 a.m. signal to the close of the following 12 o'clock signal, we finished lower. There was a move up, but we finished lower than we started. Ken, are you starting to see the narrative, the interest of the banks, the momentum based on time? Let's get everybody trapped up here. When it can't go any further, let's run the stops by a few ticks and drive it down. Let's give them a pullback, sucker in a few more people. And Ken, what were we expecting to happen at 12 o'clock if the enthusiasm institutionally between here and here was nil? This is like the cocking of the hammer of a gun. You can hear the clicks in slow motion. We're getting to the next time that's predicted to be a down move. And we saw that there was zero enthusiasm about the prior buy signal. And of course, the rest is history. As we move down now and test that moving average again, the next signal now is 4 a.m. Eastern tonight, tomorrow morning. Every chart tells a story, but a predictive story. And that's where a lot of vendors entrap or ensnare customers. They want their customers to believe that there's no possible way to know what's coming next. And so as a result, you have to use lagging indicators. You have to use their chat services, their premium discords. You have to use these things that force you to feel along on the ground in the dark instead of anticipating what's coming next. Now, as you can imagine, it's a pretty tall burden for us of proof. I can tell you, I've lost sleep over this stuff. I have been called every name in the book by every person you can imagine who wants their counterparts to believe that this is all a bunch of hokum. And so the only way to show you, prospective customer, that this is real is an elaborate experiment that you have unknowingly participated in. If we look here, let's go ahead and pull the signals up. If you look on my screen, you'll see that we've now got, not this one, the signals for gold futures that have been published since 3 days ago. Now, morally, from a trust perspective, every pixel in this screencast image was digitally carved in stone 3 days ago. There have been no updates, no alterations. Screencast TechSmith stands witness to the fact that these were the times and directions that the program identified 3 days ago of importance. The moments we were and should expected to focus on and see if banks would push higher and lower at those times in the future. From a marketing perspective, all right, we are a for-profit engineering company, unabashedly proud of that. There's zero room for what? Shenanigans. This is what it is. It was what it was. These are the words to a song we were going to sing on Thursday that was published. These words were published on Tuesday. And so now we're listening to the music to see if it was salsa singing to a rock love ballad. Did it make sense at all? Well, what does make sense even mean? And here's where a lot of you had your epiphany and became customers for life. Every one of these blue lines was a hit in time that the 12,000 plus lines of code inside of the NinjaTrader indicator identified a pattern of late. These are patterns or signals where the program said, hey, lately in gold, JP Morgan, Deutsche Bank, Goldman Sachs, etc., whoever's controlling this whole Mishiga, this whole Fugazi, are driving prices lower consistently enough that what? The program said, hey, this is a pattern. Okay, so that's the first part of this. All of those times are times where the software said over and over and over again, it's been getting driven down. All of these times are the opposite. They're evidence of not formulations, not guru tinglings or utterings. These are scientifically, mathematically derived recognition of a pattern that has emerged lately. And now you'll say, well, Michael, why don't people know about this? Why aren't we remembering this stuff? Let's see if a very smart computer can tell us what the recency effect is. Let's use ChatGPT. Can you explain very simply to my friends here what the recency effect is in 250 words or less? We'll use a computer. Sure. The recency effect is a psychological phenomenon where people tend to remember the last items in a series more easily than those in the middle or the beginning. Imagine you're trying to memorize a list of words. When you recall the list, you're more likely to remember the words you heard at the end better than those in the middle. This is because the last items are still fresh in your short-term memory. It's also known as the serial position effect. So when you're studying gold movements, you don't remember these times have consistently been pushing up and down. Now, if you are a multinational conglomerate of banks that used to just take your money, put it in a savings account, lend it to people, charge interest, and then get that money back. Banks that now take all of that money and push it into stocks and options and futures and currencies. How did that happen? If you're a bank and you have processes and behaviors and transitions and payments and business procedures that repeat at certain times, you don't want people to know that. If we are encoded with, embedded with, imbued from birth with this deficiency up here in the gray, we're wired to remember what just happened. There's no way the broad general sense, the broad general mass of traders are going to remember to look for a short at 9:30 in gold today. What an advantage. What an opportunity to manipulate markets and get away with it over and over again. In fact, it bears witnessing or repeating that JP Morgan got fined $1 billion for manipulating gold and precious metal futures. They got caught. They got caught. And so it's audacious to even presume that gold would do this. It's audacious for me to even think, hey, they paid a fine. They've learned their lesson. There's no way these times are going to work. Why would they manipulate it again? Because here's why they're going to manipulate it again. Did ChatGPT give up? Here are JP Morgan Chase's net income figures for the past 5 years. 2023, 50 billion. 2022, 38 billion. 2021, 48 billion. 2020, 30 billion. 2019, 36 billion. How much was the fine? How much was the fine for manipulating one market segment? What percentage of 50 billion is one? What percentage of 50 is one? 2%. So when we get to these times, these were the times that were carved in stone for gold. And I want to just do a cursory examination. Your eyeballs are better pattern analyzers than anything we can build electronically. Did it go up at 240? Did it go down at 355? Did it go down at 505? It did not go up at 440. Did it rise from 610 until 745? Yes. Did it go down at 745? Yes. It started to go up at 830 at the report, but it didn't follow through. It did come down at 930 all the way to 950, where it went back up all the way to 1025. At 1025, it did move down. How far? 63 to 67. Let's see if that would have been a break-even sized move. It's $400. So I don't know if you would count that or not. We'll come back and analyze that in a second. We basically finished where we started at 1125, and then we dropped from 1135 until 105 right here, another $12.5. We finish where we start by 230, and then it drops from 230 to 420. Does it look like they're still manipulating that market? Well, here's the bananas part. And this is where people have a meltdown. This is where people have a meltdown. I have the times for tomorrow right now. They're here. I show this to people every week for 15 years, one webinar a week, 50 webinars a year, close to 600 webinars. And when people realize that this is possible, that they can have it, that it's available, our web analytics show about 5% of people that come through the webinar funnel and see what you're seeing actually take advantage of it. 5% of people want to know and be successful. 95% of people have decidedly admitted they like to be surprised. 95% of traders like to be excited. They want to be caught off guard. These are the 2 prior days worth of predictive signals. Let's leave 2 entire days in there. Does that look like a random market to you? Or does that look like somebody had a plan? The highs and the lows are coming in at these times. So there's Wednesday and Tuesday. We can come back. Look at Monday. Monday was a fun one. JP Morgan decided no one would remember on Monday they were going to buy at 420, they were going to buy at 550, they were going to buy at 920. They decided on Monday that no one would remember they were going to buy at 1045 and 1155. They knew that no one would remember to go short at 815 or 520 or 1010. And then per the narrative that I showed you on the 60-minute time frame, watch what happens right here. I should give this name, give this setup a name. The stall. The stall doesn't sound very fancy. It goes up, it goes up, it goes up, and then between 11:55 and 12:30, what is it telling us? They're not pushing any higher, and we should be looking for shorts at 12:30 and 1:15. That's the end of the road. The end of the road. And so we're left with this solution that nobody wants. We're left with this solution that nobody wants. My father, as great as he was, he tried to teach me things so that I would have a less painful life than him. He began to teach me things that he felt were important to remember. One of the more famous ones of his sayings, it's not what you know, it's who you know. Something I'm trying to teach my daughter now as she graduates college and has friends who've gotten jobs before her. It's not what you know, it's who you know. Anybody ever hear that expression or live by it? Right? If you put your tools back where they belong, you always know exactly where they are. That was another one of his sayings. If you borrow something from somebody, bring it back better than you found it. Always put gas in the tank of a lawnmower or a car that you borrowed. Treat other people's things like they're made of gold. And so I'm here today in a privileged position as an engineer and developer saying, it's time. It's 100% time. And I'll confess to you, it's discouraging to have people purposefully run back to the other side of the theoretical line and say, no, no, you don't need it. You can use price action. You can use hand-drawn this and that and support and resistance. I guess you could, but why would you? Why would you? What is it about that that's so exciting or engaging? Let's talk a little bit about the 60-minute ES, and then we'll drill down into the lower time frames. And what's interesting here today is we can sort of see the ascension, right? We see how high we climbed up out of this extreme right here. So we start out down in the 5500s, and we have a stereotypical spring pattern. What's a spring pattern? A spring pattern is this Wyckoffean pattern that looks like this. So if you look at the pattern on the left and compare it to the pattern on the right, Tim, we've got this sort of bounce, and then the spring right here, and up we go. And this predicts or precedes the trend. We know from this diagram, which is over 100 years old, by the way, that's a horrible 100. We know what the trend looks like. There's a breakout. There's a high and then a pullback and then a really big move up into some zigzaggy reaccumulating and then another push up, a zigzag, or I'm sorry, a pullback, and up we go. This is what the anatomy of the structure of an uptrend looks like. And when I look at this diagram that's 150 years old, I'm seeing a correlation between the movements. So to the 5% who are interested in not feeling around in the dark, this is going to be a predictive time. This is going to be a predictive time. This is going to be a predictive time, and so on and so on. All I have to do is know the times. Oh, fun fact, they're knowable. They're knowable. And here they are. And so right around the time this thing starts topping out, right here, what are we looking at? We're looking at the opposite. What's it going to do now? It's going to do exactly what it did. What do I mean? Take a look. If only we knew the times these things were going to happen. Midnight last night is this guy right here. Drew, can you see it? Up, down, up, down, up, down, breakthrough, retrace. Whee! We are here. Where is here? Right there. That's where we are. Well, what's going to happen next? Bing, 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 breakdown and continuation. And we know the times. We know the times. How bananas is it that 95% of people who see what I've shown you don't want to know? I think it's a little weird. I'll be honest with you. So let's take a look at the intraday signals and figure out what it meant to those of you in the trenches intraday today. When you're in the webinar, please mute your microphone. There you go. Fantastical. These were the signals for the E-mini S&P 3-minute chart today. How do we know that? What kind of integrity can we assume? Thursday, July 18th, ES 3-minute signals. When was it published? 3 days ago. These times and directions have been carved in stone electronically, indelibly, unchangeably for 3 days. And now, when we get here, look, just look. There's 254. Here's 254. There's 406. There's 406. There's 515. And there's 515. Here's 627. There's 627. Here's 812. And so on and so forth. 703 in between. Just my ADD brain wants to know that you know all of these signals, these directions up and down have been known about for how long? For how long? 2 days, 3 days. We've been waiting for an appointment with JP Morgan to short and go long. What is it? 20 times over 2 market sessions. We've been waiting for these longs and shorts for 2 days. And when we arrived at these times, what happened? When we arrived at these times, what happened? Any questions about this? Any questions about it? Okay. There's the London session with the signals that were known about in advance. Here are the signals from yesterday. Here are the signals from Tuesday. What happened at the blue times? What happened at the white times? Let's go back and look at Monday. Monday's crazy. I don't trade Monday. There's no way to know what's going to happen. Oh man, I guess there was. Let's take a look at the market that you guys all love. I know you love it. You won't admit it. Here's the NASDAQ on a 3-minute chart today. No one, you can't trade the NASDAQ. It's too unpredictable. It's too volatile. There's no way to know what's going to happen. Oh crap, I guess there was something to know what way it was going to happen. And Robert, here's the best part. Look, no other company can do this. No other platform can do this. Look, here are the times for tomorrow. They're there. They're all there. They don't change. They don't disappear or reappear. They're here. Look, there's the whole session for tomorrow. All of it. It's all there. They're always waiting for you on the right-hand side. The cool part is the signals we gave you were for a 1-minute chart. You really want to put your huevos on the chopping block. If you really believe in your system, we are one of the only companies that Apex Investing allows to market to other people. If you go to their tools page, we're one of the only companies that has, it used to be up here. Huh. Maybe it's not. Well, crap. We used to be a partner on there, and I guess they took us down. I don't know why. But a lot of the customers in Apex are using our software. See there, bottom right. I missed it. Oh, there it is. Sorry. It's there. I was so sad. Did you hear how sad I was, Graham? I was sad. I was like, well, crap. Anyway, what we do when we put out these times in advance is we dare people to sort of follow along with a basic trading system. And I want to kind of walk you through that here real quick. That was funny. Yes, that was my faux pas today. So here, what we basically said was this. We'll be showing how the signals can be traded by using one of 2 simple entry rules called signal with trend or the puncture trade. We're going to use a 120 EMA and a 1.5 ATR stop. So I gave you the trading rules before we got to the times in the NASDAQ today. Well, let's talk about what those rules potentially look like and what you could have done. in the worst possible market that nobody makes money trading. And here we go. File. It should say shortened. Heck, I'll just show you. PowerPoints are so lame sometimes, aren't they? Here's what we do. This is a 120 period exponential moving average. In my live training room, I use a 20, but here we're using a 120 just to be consistent with the marketing. The stop is a dynamic stop. In my indicator, you'll see that the setting for it is 150% of the average true range. Average true range is an indicator developed by a man named Wells Wilder in the 80s to get a handle on how big is a bar lately. How big is a 1 minute bar right now? Is it bigger than it was 10 minutes ago? Did the market volatility increase or decrease? And so you'll see along the way over the course of the session, sometimes the stop is pretty small because the bars aren't that big. And then when the volatility is really screaming, the risk is greater. So let's walk through some of the trades together and I'll show you what we could have done just using a basic trend trading system with the NQ or the MNQ. If you trade MNQ, this works just the same. We go long at the close of the 822 signal. The window was expected to last until 834. So in its simplest incarnation, we're getting about $10 out of that move. So if you're trading Apex, if you're trading a prop, hang on, Tim, you throw those little nuggets out there and it throws my brain off. My wife says I can only think about one thing at one time and to stop thinking about that one thing because that's all I think about. Anyway, some of you caught that. The first trade takes us up about $8, about $160 per contract. The second trade takes us from 9 o'clock to 9:07. There's another $200. Now, remember we called this the stall, Tim? At 9:14, we enter. At 9:17, we exit. It looks like a loss. If you're using our software and you see a stall at the signal near a high like that, think really hard about the sell signal. This isn't part of my trading plan. I can't claim it in our P&L here that we're going to add up in a minute. But if that was the high of day and you saw between 9:14 and 9:17, it didn't go very far. If you knew that there was a selling window from 9:17 to 9:37, the risk on here is nothing. And in that window of time, it went about $1,200 per contract. Okay. Our system says, hey, this is a trend trading model. I'm waiting for a candle to close under the moving average. When it does, I go short at the close with a stop just above the candle which crossed over the MA. So my stop is here, my entry is here, and my target is based on time. I know that I have until 9:37 before JP puts their sticky little fingers all over this market with their insidious algorithms. So now, at that point in the morning, add it up. Plus 8, 19, let's call it 20, 40, minus 1. That's about $800 per contract. Most of you are trading prop accounts. You will have finished by then. One trade, Apex likes when you have $200, $300, $400 times 20 accounts, very manageable with their trade copiers and so forth. The next signal is at 9:47. How do we know it's going to be at 9:47? There's no way you can predict the future with these things. And oh, that's right. How long ago have we been waiting for 9:47? Right here, 3 days ago. 9:47 was burned into the interwebs 3 days ago. And what happened when we got to 9:47? Well, that's a signal with trend. We can go short. Our stop is the blue line. And now we exit at 9:55. Whoa, that's 40. What? So now you're over 800, right? You're closer to 1,000 or more. 10:01 comes and there's a wump wump. It starts to go in our favor and goes woo, and it hits the stop. We give 44 of that back. Don't worry. Next signal is coming. At 10:17, it crosses over the moving average. The crossover trade is also stopped out. We give back $15 more. 10:22, man, it's getting rough in here. In between here and here, we give back $23. And then the 10:32 signal comes. We get $82 back. 10:53 comes, it doesn't hit its stop, but it does finish negative 13. And then the 11:10 signal comes and we get $63 back. You see a trend here? Just trading with trend, we're making 2 and 4 and 5 times more than we're losing on the trades with signals that we've known about for 3 days. It kept working this afternoon. These predictions are the farthest from the original post, the original publication. They are the farthest ones. What happened at 240 and 250 and 306 and 323? Even in the final moments of the market, the most volatile, unpredictable times you could try to predict, it was still predictable. Oh. Well, Michael, I get in trades and they immediately go against me. It's very discouraging. Well, stop doing what you're doing. Look at that group of 95% of people and come over here. You've spent hundreds of thousands of dollars. We have one customer who told us he spent $300,000 on education and tools. Didn't make a dime. But by the time people find us, if it costs $1, it's too much. They're burnt out. They're tired. They have lost faith in humanity, essentially. They don't believe another vendor. They don't care. Don't tell me what you got. You're all liars. Nobody's truthful. And yet here we are. Here we are. We're not just limited to intraday signals. Here's the oil signals on a 1-minute chart that we published 3 days ago. Did the oil traders have a plan today? Did ExxonMobil and Shell and British Petroleum have a schedule they were following of positions they needed to load up on or unload? If only there was a way we could go back and see if those times were, oh, well, there they are. When was this published? 3 days ago. What happened at the times in oil today? Look, you can see where they took profit. Yeah, Robert, we have a huge contingent of UK customers who are doing exactly what you just said. You come home from work and you just cranking it out. Our California customers do the same thing before work. 6 o'clock their time, 9 o'clock our time. Whee! You can trade the NASDAQ at night on the East Coast here. It's so volatile. One of our new customers made $400 or $800 last night trading the NQ 9, 10 o'clock in the evening. The markets are moving 24/7 now. Okay. Now, what makes this exciting is every signal on this chart was known about for 3 days, which means I wonder if there's a way for us to know what the times are in the future. Oh, that's right. We can. They're all here for tomorrow right now. They're all here for tomorrow right now. They don't change. They don't disappear. They don't reappear. I don't know what else I can show you to prove that this works. What else do you need to see? Does this work on other markets like Tesla and Apple? Let me show you. Microsoft is a good one that people have been asking about. We can look at daily time frames if you're trading options, puts and calls and iron condors and butterflies and all that happy horse shit. Sorry, stuff. Beep. This just went from G to R. This is Microsoft on a daily time frame. My apologies. When were they going to sell the stock down? When were they going to push the price up? When are they going to push the price up? When are they going to drive the price down in the future? Why do we care about the signals to the right of the current bar? Because of what the signals to the left of the bar did. They didn't repaint, they didn't appear later, they didn't shift around. Those were the dates that Microsoft was expected to go up and to go down. Any stock or market you want to analyze, here's AMD. You can do the same thing. My favorite guy is Tesla because I hate him. And Tesla, I can tell you what's going on, but I have to use an advanced technique we don't have time to get too deep into. I can, however, tell you that we were predicting this to be the high, and now I'm watching to see what will happen between the 17th of July and the 25th of July. I predict a stall is coming. I think we're going to do this. And then I think on the 25th of July, we're going to fall. Those of you in my live advanced room are familiar with the concept of reverse polarity. And on July 1st, the signal went up, telegraphing that on July 25th, it's likely to go down. If you're looking at other stocks or markets, for example, the ES on a daily time frame using the default software settings, 714.0 swing strength 8, we can see what was anticipated and what actually occurred. If we look at the NQ on a daily time frame, you can see what was predicted historically, what is coming up in the future, and what has already happened. If you look at SPY or QQQ, you can do the same thing. I'll scrunch it up so you can get your screenshot and show your mom who's making meatloaf for you in another room. Mom, meatloaf, now. You can show her what was anticipated in SPY. And we're not limited to daily. We can go as far out as weekly. For those of you that are long-term investors, it's the same thing. It's the same algorithm with the same dates waiting for us in the future. It's kind of bananas, right? What do I want you to remember from today? What do I want you to remember from today? I want you to remember that you, like everybody else walking on the planet right now, have a disability. You have a disability called the recency effect. Every one of us is hardwired with this. I don't know why evolution favored short-term memory, right? Maybe because life was simple. Hey, last year when you planted the corn over here, it all died. The year before that, when you planted it closer to the house, it all lived. Why don't we plant it closer to the house? There was no reward for looking at thousands of years of corn plantings. Hey, every time I climb down this tree with a friend of mine, he gets eaten by a jaguar. Let's not climb down this tree anymore. Our brains did not evolve to remember 823, 917, 936, 955, 958, 1002. Our brains don't have the capacity for that. Right? AI is helping us connect a lot of dots. This isn't AI, this is data mining. Kind of a component of it, but not the same. And so we come to this market every morning just thinking about climbing down the tree and not getting eaten by the jaguar. The jaguar knows what time he's coming, right? You can see right here, these guys come to play. They come to play hard. They fund your presidential candidate and your presidential candidate. They fund your senator and your congressman, and their hands are in every pocket. No one's going to stop them. $1 billion, the largest fine ever, $1 billion. Can you imagine if you stole 100 TVs from Walmart and then the cop opens up the truck? Whoa, hey, buddy, you got 100 TVs in here. I'm sorry, officer. And you put your hands out to get the cuffs. He goes, do me a favor. Put one of those back. What? Put one of those TVs back. Oh, okay. Those are the people you trade against. Those are the people you trade against. And so now we're kind of left with, what are you going to do tomorrow? What are you going to do tomorrow? Knowing what we know now. Are you going to pay attention and move when they move? Are you going to do what they do when they do it? Is it worth waking up 1 o'clock this morning, tomorrow, to see if the bottom is in on the NQ? I don't know. Maybe for you it is. Is it worth waking up or walking over to the computer at 10 p.m. tonight and putting a micro lot on, a mini ES, and see if maybe at 10 o'clock tonight it comes all the way back up into 3 o'clock tomorrow? Maybe. But isn't the whole premise of knowing in advance that there's a landmine there, there's a reason that time exists, there's a disability that we can overcome and leverage to trade when these guys trade? Why stand in the group with the 95% of people who are failing every day? when everything you've seen in this webinar is promoting the idea of transparency, zero manipulation, zero dependency on anyone here as a guru. Most of you here are better traders than I am. You have better emotional control. You have more discipline. You follow your rules more strictly. The system doesn't care if I'm a better trader than you or not. The signals are the signals are the signals. Use the right tool for the job. Use the right tool for the job. So the tool we're talking about, the one you want to get your hands on, is our flagship product called Tachyon Warp. I'm going to give you the link to that in our GoToWebinar chat box. If you're looking at home, you just visit our website, backtothefuturetrading.com, and click on Tachyon Warp. Tachyon is a hybrid word. We are nerds here. We love nerd things. And so tachyon in Star Trek is a theoretical particle which travels backwards and forwards in time. Eon denotes an infinite amount of time. And so these products are under the tachyon umbrella, products which move infinitely forwards and backwards in time. Just so you know the genesis of that name, we don't usually tell people what it means. I think it's neat. And at the very bottom of that page is a link that you can click. When you click it, there's an annoying pop-up. And the annoying pop-up is for a training room that I teach. I teach this room. If you are a customer and you are not in my room, stop being silly. Please get in there. I look at the ES, I look at gold, I look at the NASDAQ, we look at large time frames for things like options and stocks and Bitcoin, whatever you want to focus on, I'm your huckleberry. And we show setups and signals. I'm working on the setup book for everybody. I'm almost finished with it. And I'm showing people what our entries are in the room, providing that. If you like a hands-on approach and you want somebody working with you in live markets, telling you what they're seeing, I can save you a lot of time. And you can add that to your package when you get it. If you don't want it, fine, don't get it. You won't hurt my feelings. This is the purchase agreement. Please do me a favor. Don't buy the software and then tell somebody at Chase Visa that you have no idea who made the purchase 90 days from now. Some people are doing some really squirrely stuff. Oh, I didn't get what I think I was going to get. I never got the software. I never turned it on. They never sent it to me. This year, we've had a half a dozen of those just absolutely insane chargebacks. If you don't want it, don't buy it. But please don't buy it and say we lied about what you were going to get. I have to say this now. Yes, Robert, it is. It's ongoing. I have a $200 daily goal in the room each day. Please try it for a month. You can cancel it. Let us know and it won't reset. But I think you should do it for at least 1 month. If not, there's a video training archive in the website. It's got hours of videos broken up into 10 and 15-minute segments that you can go through and get training there too. We do record those sessions, so you can go back after work or when your mom finishes with the meatloaf and you want to watch and see what happens, you can use Market Replay to follow along. There is a promo code, W lowercase ARPOFF. WARPOFF. WARPOFF. No spaces, no caps. And when you hit apply, it takes $500. What? Off of your price. It takes $500 off of the price. This is a lifetime license, 2 computers, video training archive, free installation if you need it, and something I learned, there is a Skype group, and the Skype group is filled with people who are sharing their results with each other. They are helping each other. They are sharing what they're doing that's working. They're sharing their templates and their settings. They're encouraging each other. How did you do that? What are you looking at? What's your market? What time of day do you trade? The software has now eclipsed me and has gone generational. We are at the disciple stage where other people are sharing what's working with their trading with other people. And right now there's 286 people in that group. If you buy the software, Robert, you're going to have to use Skype. I don't care if you like it or not. That's where we are. Not that he said that. I'm just assuming someone's going to say, I don't like Skype. I don't care. But we have these groups now where people are literally sharing what their settings are, how they're trading, and helping other people. That's, of course, included if you become a customer as well. The community aspect of that has been brilliant. Anybody who wants to write a review on Trustpilot has. You can go on our Trustpilot page where we're not allowed to, nor are we able to take down or alter any review that anybody puts up. And you can see, as a matter of course, that most people have felt pretty good about their purchase. Any questions before we finish up? Any questions about the timing software or Shalom, a particular market you want to analyze or get into? Curious about any of that stuff? No? Well, if that's the case, thank you for your time here today. Welcome on board to our new customers. I have endeavored to be as truthful as I can be with the fullness of my Boy Scout oath and motto and all that fun stuff. On my honor, I will do my best to do my duty to God and my country and to obey the Scout law, to help other people at all times, to keep myself physically strong, mentally awake, and morally straight. Eagle Scout, by the way, before that world went crazy. All right. May the wind be at your back. May the sun shine down upon your beautiful, handsome faces. May the valleys rise up to meet you. May the mountains lay low before you. I wish you peace, prosperity, health, fellowship, and calm these coming weeks and months. I foresee a tumultuous fall and winter. Our predictive signals, the studies that I'm undertaking, all point to a pretty volatile time in our corporate global history. Be a light, be kind, show compassion, disagree with people, and still love them, still extend grace to them. No one is right about something 100% of the time. You're probably wrong about half of the stuff you're pretty sure you are certain of. Be open to learning new things. Be open to disregarding assumptions. In the last 15 years, this program, if it's done nothing, has transformed what I believe politically, religiously, financially, professionally, all of it. My brother called, I overheard a phone call with my wife last night, and he said, Mike has changed so much. I want that experience for you. Programs like this, demonstrations like this show us there's so much more to it. Extend that to the other avenues and crevices of your life and see what happens. See what happens. Robert, Dave's going to follow up with you and make sure you get set up. He's got your email. Watch for a note from him right after this email webinar, and he'll get in touch with you and make it available for you. Yeah, we'll figure it out. We never want to be an obstacle to your success. So we'll work with you to make it happen. Dave, you got that for Robert? I got his email address right here, and I'll send it to him. Thank you. I want every webinar to be better than the one before. I want all of you guys to do better than you did yesterday and then do better tomorrow. I want everyone here to be better than me. That's my goal. I want everyone here to do better than me, and then tell your friends, your neighbors, your sons and daughters about it. Let them do better than you. This is our legacy. I hope that it outlasts us. I hope 100 years from now, people are talking about us the way they talked about Gann and Wyckoff and Elliott. And I think we have a pretty good start to that. And you are responsible. Thank you for your support. We love you. We appreciate you. And we'll see you here in our live class on Tuesday. If you're in my live class now, watch for the email with the setups for the live room before we start. They're on their way, and they'll also be dropped into the Skype group as well. Take care, guys, ladies. Have a wonderful evening.